Okay, this chat is going to be a little deep and somewhat advanced for a lot of people, but I'm putting it into words, hopefully, that people will understand. Even at a small, low level, at least they'll get it somewhat. Now, about the higher self, and when people talk about being awakened and being enlightened, those words are just words, and they're misleading. I would say awakened isn't anywhere near being enlightened. An awakened person is someone who is like one step up of understanding. Like once you start understanding what's going on, you think you're part of the rat race and all that kind of stuff. That's like a level of understanding. But before that, you even have to be fed up in order to start thinking about it that way. And well, maybe not fed up, but you see it happening to other people. So anyway, the level of understanding gets you thinking like, this is not what life is about. It's got to be more than this. And then when you look into it, usually you get into spirituality and religion, and those can mislead people too. I'm driving, and some guy just cut me off and made me stop really fast, and I heard some stuff fall over, but oh well. And I would say that understanding is the very first level of awakening. Awakening is when you really see that we are people who were directed in certain ways since we were born and told to follow the next thing and follow the next thing and follow the next thing until we get to be adults. And then we get to be adults, we're supposed to choose our own path. But we have to stay within those guidelines. And it's almost as ridiculous as school because some of the rules are just dumb. Just completely dumb. And we all know that. But anyway, that level is like when you're awakened. A realized being is someone who understands what enlightenment is, like someone who conceptualizes a person understanding the understanding of God, or God, or the source, or the universe. Like, the one that becomes one with that is oneness. A step down from that is an enlightened person. An awakened being would be someone who understands what it would be like to be an enlightened person, but still has too much karma, or too much negative junk in their energy systems, and also in their mind, because their individual mind is a part of the whole mind, and when it's clouded, it's a lot harder than you think to get it totally unclouded. You have to remove yourself from a lot of things. You take a lot of things out of your own life, even though you might not think it makes sense. Then we have the awakened masters, who are a step down from enlightenment. Enlightenment is when you are there with the one in human form. In your human form, you are there with the one, you are there with the astral, you are there with your energy bodies, you're there with all your ego and all that stuff, and you understand that all your ego disappears. But when you come back to your ego from enlightenment, you then become an ascended master, or an awakened master, or any of those Christ consciousness beings that we revere so greatly, because they come back and they have, whether they claim it or not, because they don't do it on purpose. Say someone from India, or someone who's Hindu, or Christ, or whoever they followed their path of, when they're trying to explain it to people in their human form, people can only take it a certain way, so they can't experience the oneness that the enlightened person at the moment of enlightenment, or the moments that they are enlightened, when they're with the one. But when they're coming back and trying to talk about it from their place, and they can't not do it, because another person runs up and is rude or whatever, you just don't look at them and go, oh, I don't notice anything going on. You have a personal opinion. So being a ascended master, or an enlightened master, or any of those masters, is a step down from true enlightenment, because enlightenment is when you're with the one. And when you're not with the one and you're walking the earth like Sadhguru or any of those people, they're trying to explain it in their method, because that's all they can do, because that's the method they use to get there. And once you use their method and feel enlightened, you think that they were enlightened because they helped you become enlightened. But then, what was it they did for you? Nothing, because you just followed their method. So now you're just about equal as the ascended master if you followed them fully. But most people don't even do that, and don't cleanse their body, and don't eat right, and don't have proper thinking, and don't forgive, and don't feel gratitude for everything, and don't just love the life we're living. Because if you don't do those things, you can't properly become enlightened. You can't. You might have a moment of inspiration or a moment of epiphany. But then, say you take a hallucinogen or something, you have an epiphany where you feel that oneness. You can't explain it even to yourself because you have so much disbelief in all those things that make you angry and all those things that you worry about and all those things that you don't trust or the things you hate. And those things interfere with the ability to become completely enlightened. You may be awakened, but enlightened means you get rid of all those things and you feel the oneness on those other levels, that astral level. And those are levels of enlightenment when you get to the actual astral level. There's people who can lucid dream, people who can astral project, and those are physical ways of doing methods of enlightenment. If you really focus in on those lucid dreams and astral projections, you'll see that those are real. And the more conscious you are, the more you're actually creating things that you can do in the future, or you're reliving or observing things that have happened in the past, or even right now. Those things are always like that. No matter what level you're on, it's a mix of everything we've known of. Like ascended masters are just people who have been there and come back and explain it in their personal view. When you're enlightened, you don't have a personal view at all. You're just there. But you can't be enlightened at that moment when you explain it to somebody because you have to explain it to them from your personal point of location. So then you come back to an ascended master, which is what I would be as an ascended master. But I'm very enlightened, and I'm walking around with God in me, the source in me, the creator, tuned in to me on all levels, not just the physical world level where it's part of my being and who I am, like everybody. It's part of my mentality, it's part of my mind, it's part of my spirit. I am one with it at all times, and I have to take myself out of it in order to be lesser vibrationally higher than some people because they won't accept me for being that around them because they don't believe in it. Yeah, I know that makes total sense because that's what happens to me every day when I'm around anybody, even my mom and dad. I can't be enlightened around them. I can be an awakened master, but I can't be enlightened around them. I'm an enlightened being, but I'm not at the moment of enlightenment around anybody because you can't be when you explain it to them. You can be if they're around you and they see you in it, but then once they disturb you and take you from it and you come out of that, it might take a minute to come back out of it. I call it coming back to damnness. When you come back out of it, you can't speak to them as an enlightened person. Well, you can't as an enlightened person. You're not speaking to them from enlightenment, from that oneness, because you're speaking of oneness that you feel from your dual location. I know that was a lot of stuff at once, but if you listen to it over and over, you'll get it, because that's exactly what's going on. I mean, there's a lot more to life altogether, but that's what's going on with the idea of ascension and enlightenment and awakening and understanding. Those things are levels of the one on a non-physical plane, on a plane of logic, on a plane of comprehension, intelligence level, basically. So, I love you.